Welcome to ESL Mobile, the home of mobile esports. ESL Mobile is a global program designed to give you an opportunity to compete in your favorite mobile games, featuring multiple game titles taking place in 3 regions and offering 2 levels of competition. There's something here for everyone. ESL Mobile Open is the gateway to competitive play, free to join and open to any resident of our supported regions. This is the best way for you to enjoy the thrill of victory and take your shot at winning cash prizes. Each season of Mobile Open will consist of 2 ladders, and the top competitors from each will qualify for the Mobile Open play-ins. ESL Mobile Challenge is your path to glory. If you are a top competitor in the Mobile Open play-ins, you will earn a spot in the Mobile Challenge season. The top team from each ladder will skip the play-ins and qualify directly for the Mobile Challenge season. This is where you'll have the chance to compete against the best players in your region. At the end of each season, top Mobile Challenge players will compete in the Mobile Challenge Finals to determine a winner and be crowned their region's champion. ESL Mobile is for everyone. This is your opportunity to join a diverse and growing community of players across the world and see just how far you can go.
Words say, high level of consistency. There are a couple of teams have actually sneaked into this top 16, and the top 8 need to really be careful and watch out, and not just worry about placements, but the kills they get along the way. So there's a lot of factors they need to take into account, and I think there's going to be a lot more pressure, especially around the teams between 5th and 8th, considering Red Moon, RGX team, Panda, they can also try and sneak in if possible, and why not? There's plenty of opportunities and room for them to actually do so. So we have to be very, very careful here, because we haven't got long left until actually lead up to the top 8.
Well, we've got to remember why all of these teams are here as well. I mean, trying to prove themselves, trying to get these high kill games, trying to land as many points as they physically can to basically prove themselves on this platform. The ESL Mobile Open is a great platform to showcase your ability and to basically progress through the ladder and to get more respect, essentially, among the PUBG Mobile community. In the first place, we're going to kick things off today is Erangel with Team P18 dropping in. Lethal, take us away.
I certainly will indeed, as Hassan with the M4 already taken down. This is not the kind of start we'd like to see going into this. But Al King with the Bison there, not something we'd normally see. And he hasn't really got many meds to his name either. So he only got that 1 med pack. Is now Al King, and you can see his teammate there, Saw, just both laying low, knowing that they're not in the best of spots here. And then again, at the same time, I do have the circle advantage. They're just worried about the cover, or the lack of, we should say, as now they've already been taken down, as Scoz managed to take down 1. Panda's looking to push it up as well, and Gon is definitely not going to be going anywhere here, just hiding behind that car and with the smoke as well. But the only problem is, once that smoke's gone, there's going to be extra angles for some of their opponents to be able to take him down here.
But this is why you see a lot of the opponents, taking pot shots through the smoke constantly, because if you manage to clip at least one, you get so much information, and then your communication is just so much better for your teammates. You can just tell them how many people are in the smoke, how many people are, sitting there and basically trying to be snakes in the grass at the time. So the fact that they've managed to get shots off at these P18 guys has given them so much information, and therefore they're kind of pinned down and in a really unfortunate position right now. We've got 6 teams up remaining at the moment, 15 alive. Quite a low kill count. I mean, for you know, what we're looking at in terms of comparison right now for Team P18 with 14 kills currently. And yeah, just trying to play it slow as they progress out of a quite a tough position, and they're going to be pushed out of this position by the blue when it closes into the next circle.
Yeah, Sword is down at the moment. Hassan does take down one here, so that's going to help him or give him a little bit of leadway as well. But Hassan has been cleaned up and is down for the count. So Gon's the only member left standing for P18. It's going to be a bit of a struggle here. He will be playing for placement if he can. Oh, he saw there as well. He was trying to at least res his teammate, but now he's only on 10% HP. He's going to have to back away and just leave it for now. But Buffalo Bill, right in the middle of the map here, still looking to try and push into that circle. But one of the main things is he's just barely inside, but also on the slow end of the circle. So he can crawl towards the circle if he needs to be. Still trying to do a bit of damage through that smoke with that AK. Still got plenty of meds as well to work with. He's got a nice bit of kit there to work with overall. So not looking too bad. And it's still, you know, in terms of team kills, does have 5. Only one of his teammates been taken down. Does a little bit of damage there across the map onto that buggy. But Skulls managed to take another opponent down from Rip 21. That's going to be Vodka. And Malfoy looking to push on it.
Yeah, Malfoy in a good position. He's got a good vantage point from where he's at the top of the hill. WP actually go on to win that in a 3v3v3 at the end. However, we are now switching over to Team WP on Miramar, the same team that we've just been watching. We're north of Los Leones right now and just outside the circle. Got a pretty good spot here, but who has the best spot? Team 17 in the distance. Look at them posted up, in fact, sorry, inside that building, right in the center at the edge of the circle. Just so fortunate that they've managed to get there and post up because, yeah, every other team now outside is in a really difficult position. They're going to have to try and throw down some smokes, move their way in, and basically try and push them out of the building as quickly as possible. But Outro over here, just trying to get some, trying to get a vantage point on any of those players that are inside the top window, just to give a little bit of comms to his teammates because they're still 4 up for Team WP. They're on 5 kills. It could be a high point game for them if they manage to secure the top spot. But there's only 8 alive in 3 teams, so it could be a dicey ending here, Lethal.
Yeah, 2 teams of 3 and a team of 2. They are in a horrible, horrible spot. Yeah, sure, I'm glad they've got some utility. They need to drive in. I'm glad Outro did because there was no other way. There was no coverage and nothing for them to actually be able to keep them at bay. But good money there to clean up one of those players. Buffalo Bill, we're going to witness his presence once again, but sadly not for too much longer as one of the players is trying to pop on in and Buffalo Bill does get taken down. He had a good start as he was pushing on forward, but it was not going to be enough. And that was some good stuff there from Team 17. They were in a really bad position. You saw that they had plenty of utility to work with, which was great. And the only way they can go in is to use one player to drive on through towards the structure and towards the house as well. Because the other 2 players were in no man's land. There was no way they were about to push up without taking any damage, or if not, actually get taken down non-stop. But good stuff from them. It could have gone a lot worse or maybe nowhere near in their favour. So could have been a lot better than we expected.
I mean, a big shout out to Ahmed as well, right at the very end there. He was a snake in the grass for that entirety of that back end of that match because he was the last one standing and managed to secure 2nd place. So GG's to him for getting those position points, and they'll be crucial towards the end there. But here we go. We're jumping in to Sanhok with Team Run here, and we're just west of Painan right now. And we're just going to see if they can manage to push over. They've got 4 up right now. Pretty advantageous position. Edge of circle. They've got some height, but, you know, they've got to worry about that left side solo player right there. So just trying to get eyes on anyone that they can potentially see to help them with their push as they kind of get eyes over this ledge. And yeah, everyone's pretty sorted out. We've got 4 teams right now, 12 alive, 9 kills for Team 1 as we switch over to One Valentine right now to see if they can push up the hill, which is obviously a much tougher position, but they're right bang smack in the middle of the circle, Lethal.
Yeah, they're looking very good here. They're quite spun out though. So in terms of coordination, they're going to be a little bit off here. So they're just going to play for angles and positional advantage rather than sticking together so much. But it's going to distract them heavily. The circle's directly in front of Valentine. So he's going to be pretty happy about it as Misery does take down Zeus. And Lupin takes down Axe Fair and Stella takes down Tysa. So now we're going to see how things are going to change up. Still 11 alive, 3 teams left remaining, 9 kills now, which is still pretty good. Normally we do see bigger amounts from the top teams, especially in the top 8, but still 9 kills is a very, very good scoreline. Still trying to crawl in if he can. It's going to take him a bit of time, but he knows he's going to have to get a couple of kills along the way. He's trying to spray to try and get their attention. And this is going to be an opportunity for maybe to actually try and catch up, as one of them has been sniped down. Lupin will be put down onto the floor, but still got a little bit of time to work with here. Valentine knows that he hasn't really got positional advantage, but still can at least hide behind this low ground until he finds an opening to then push on up.
There's the snipe that I've been hoping for that we just witnessed. One Valentine throwing down the smokes to see if he can push up the hill, because Team Run right now are still in the best position. The team that we kicked off this clip with, they have to push down the hill, and one are going to be pushed up the hill. So here we go. The blue is pushing them in. Are they going to be able to basically use the smoke as much to their advantage as they possibly can and just, you know, rely on their skill as well? Oh, Valentine gets dropped fairly quickly, and now we switch back over to Run, I believe, because Team 1 are now all down. 2 teams left, 5 alive. It is a 4v1 lethal. They're going to have to push through to this hut that Dark is just chilling out in, and he is in a very difficult spot. There we go. Closing out that clip right there. Team Run managed to close that one out and get the top spot with a fairly high kill game for them.
Yeah, definitely. I was just laughing at 1v4 earlier. It looked like it was a zombie apocalypse just going straight for the house, and he had absolutely no way out at all. And yeah, in a 1v4, what do you expect, especially that, you know, in terms of the high caliber skill between both teams. So it was going to happen. It was going to get taken down. You're right, though, Banks. 9 kills is still pretty good. 3 teams left, 7 alive. But what is Baton going to do here? What is his game plan? He's already given away his position, but that's more due to the fact that he's just trying to find out if anyone is sneaking on up, which is understandable. All 3 members just continue to keep this high ground, and now looking to continue on forward as Phaeton just trying to find a better position here if he can. So that level 3 backpacks, it will be noticed quite clearly. It depends on when he wants to give all the rest of everything up, but he's still got plenty of meds, plenty of energy drinks, painkillers. He's got everything he needs, but almost got taken down as the smoke is going to make a big play for him. He's going to try and re-heal, but not looking too good. His helmet's actually almost run out of damage. So, you know, 1 clip to the head and he's pretty much dead here. He's just trying to survive as much as he can, but no changes so far in the kill feed.
Yeah, Team On don't really need to do a huge amount here. They have the advantageous position. It's 8 circles, so it's closing in. It's going to be really tight, and they have the high ground, so they don't need to do a huge amount. They don't need to push. We can pretty much assume that all the enemies are going to be snakes in the grass at this point because they're having to move uphill. They're going to be lying down and trying to just crawl their way in with the blue, and then hopefully get some pot shots off. But doing a good job here, just going to throw some nades in. That's what he's going to have to do, basically, just to try and get any kind of information for his teammates to let them know, right, they're here, where my nade landed, so maybe just keep continuing throwing nades to that end. But yeah, we've got Team On chilling out at the top, using this tree line as cover. And I mean, you can even see his teammates on the left, his snakes in the grass himself, to just try and get a little bit of advantage over the edge of the hill so that they can just get any kinds of information. But so far, nothing at the moment. 2 teams up, 6 alive. It is literally a 4v2. They could just push this and see if they can just clutch up. But yeah, again, a slow ending to what seemed to be a pretty fast-paced game for Team On, as they're on 10 kills. And if they can close this out, a 12-kill win would be so crucial for the points for the ladder, Lethal.
Yeah, there's no way they're going to lose this. In a 4v2, they've got all the angles covered, and I'm going to push on forward, and you can see they're already completely cleaned up. Not only was it a 4v2, they had every single angle ready, covered, and they were just a matter of time, really, delaying the inevitable until they pincered in and finished off the last 2 opponents. And when you're in that kind of situation, especially when you haven't even got the high ground either, no positional advantage in the slightest, it was just a matter of time.
I think it's just lucky nades. Like, you need to just try and get off as many lucky nades as you can. Maybe they didn't have any towards the end there, or maybe it would give away their position if they start throwing nades from lying down in their position that they were at right then over the crest. But I mean, a pretty difficult one. They got lucky with the circle as well, Team On, so they could just stay at the top of that hill and just work their way down slowly and manage to secure the 12-kill win, which is vital points, like I've already mentioned. But we're going to jump on in to Miramar for our final clip of PUBG Mobile, when they're going to try and play the high ground once again and move through the smoke. But here we go, flying in the car, Team FV, Lethal.
Right, yeah, we're going to see what they can do here. Very risky start. We know how open Miramar can be, as already now is going to try and get away as fast as possible. Completely understandable. Using this vehicle just to try and find out exactly not just where everyone is, but also give away his position on purpose, so then he can give his teammates a little bit of leadway in order to get away from their current disadvantageous position. So Dextro here just looking to see if he can get away and get behind that smoke, which he does manage to, as one of the players does get taken down by the explosion, and one actually gets taken down by the play zone as well. Still got plenty of meds to work with, so it shouldn't be too bad here, as he would be able to stay alive. No, he does not. So it does get cleaned up eventually, and did take a little bit longer than we expected. But Gabriel here just hiding behind the buggy and the van just to try and bandage up. Perfectly understandable. And you can see it's still 7 alive, 4 teams remaining, and you can see Team Doom just on the other end. The map just again playing this very cautiously, just trying to heal up as much as he can before he's going to re-engage. But you see one of his teammates is going to be alongside him here, so looking pretty good here. But in terms of circle advantage, nothing of the sort. So he's going to use that buggy and use the smoke to push on a little bit further. But will he be able to take down one of the players down below? He has positional advantage once again, but is that going to be a decent enough nade? Yes, it is. That was an absolute banger of a nade there, Banks, as Gabriel now looking to try and stay alive and try and get a decent placement.
Yeah, they obviously knew that they had a bit of a snake in the grass down on the bottom left of your screen, as they basically were going to push through the blue and try and get up the hill. So they needed to make sure that they got that drop so that they didn't get caught out at the end, maybe from him pushing in behind them. So 4K have managed to secure that. Now they can push on over and try and secure the kills over on this right side against the duo that is down below them, because they've still got 3 up. They've definitely got the man advantage. They've got a solo down at the bottom there. So it's basically a 3v2v1. So 4K, just keep the high ground and just make sure that you can secure these kills. One of the players from Team 2 is pushed up to try and get a little flank going, but I think he's been spotted, because that was an absolutely perfect nade from Gabriel once again. The god of nades, 4K Gabriel, absolutely putting them in. But yeah, we've got 2 down at the bottom still. Frosty is most likely going to go down. He still managed to stay up pretty well there. But yeah, finally he goes down. And we've got this one man right at the very back, just chilling out. He's going to be forced out from the blue. I mean, what do you do in this position, Lethal?
Get ready for the next game. That's probably what I would do. Look at this. They've got height position. They've got 2 players underneath. It's a 3v2. They're going to have 0 issues here. If they somehow lose this, then it's going to be one of the biggest upsets I've seen in a long time. And there we have it, though. Doom does get taken down. One poor man left standing behind that rocket. Then very far back. Oh, actually, saying so does actually take him down with the M4. Okay, so could be a little bit different from what we expected in terms of the outcome, but don't worry though, Gabriel will get picked up and fight for another day. Still waiting for him to push up here. Both teams, they haven't really got the circle as of yet, but look at the position that 4K are in. They're literally laughing right now. Even right this second, he's trying to dive in with the buggy and is going to try and push on up. I'm not really too sure what he plans to do, but maybe try and run him down or anything like that, or maybe even push him around and go for the flank, which he does and takes him down eventually. Took a little bit of time there, considering that was a 3v1, but you can see that 4K had no reason to make the push until the finals phase did commence, which it did. And you can see that the opponent on the other side was just playing for placement. He knew there's nothing more he could have done. If he does take down one of the players, he's just going to revive once again. So it's just a matter of time.
Yeah, it was difficult. I think that end push was just to ensure that they got the kill and that he didn't die to Storm, didn't die to the blue, because he didn't want that to happen and wanted to make sure they can get that last kill. But one thing that we do need to mention to you as well, to make sure you get in your diaries, the 13th of June, the top 8 from this portion of the ladder will be going through to join the other top 8 from the previous ladder in a 16-man finals. So 13th of June, make sure you are there watching the PUBG Mobile finals from the ESL Mobile Open. It's going to be great. So to keep up to date with everything happening in the ESL Mobile Open as well, don't forget, you can put !social in the chat. Go and give us a follow and we will keep you up to date with everything as the week progresses. So up next, we've got all the action from Clash Royale in this week. Don't go anywhere.
Feel the light, see the stage, hear the vibe. Pumped up to get ready for the fight. Big dreams, one chance, be the star. I'm the winner coming out of the dark. No fear, getting ready for the ride. Yeah, stepping into the light. No limit, aim high. No limit, the price is mine.
Step out as a motivator. Let them know that the weight's up. That's how we know when we level up. Ay, that's how we know when we level up.
Level up. All we know about is level up. Are we ready not to level up? You know we fall and we get up. Level up. All we know about is level up. Are we ready not to level up? It's time, get up.
Back against the wall, still I'm standing tall. Know about the ball, I got my fan with me. All we know is ball to empty out the mouths. The chosen one they call, I take my fan with me. Know about it if you tell, know you're breaking codes. Want your credibility and all fall like dominoes. Can you really take a stance? All I wanna know. Need me real ones when it's time to go. Stepping in, elevator. Listen to all the haters. That's all we know when we level up. Yeah, that's all we know when we level up.
Level up. All we know about is level up. Are we ready not to level up? You know we fall and we get up. Level up. All we know about is level up. Are we ready not to level up? It's time, get up. I found out I'm not alone, 'cause I'm just like you. There's no failing when we fight. We're not afraid to level up. All we know about is level up. Are we ready not to level up? You know we fall and we get up. Level up.
ESL Mobile Open is brought to you by DHL and Pay Safeguard.
Now, last week I mentioned that the leaderboard in Clash Royale wasn't really changing too much and it seemed like things were leveling out. Well, it seems like some of the players from the Clash Royale ladder were definitely listening, because we've had some huge changes this week. Now, before we get into that, Clash Royale, we've got the air attacks seeming to favour the more aggressive players, but every single time that we've been casting over the air attacks, it seems like they're so domineering right now. They're absolutely dominating and, you know, favouring the aggressive people like I've mentioned. But, I mean, how do you counter it, Lethal?
It's very, very difficult to say the least, because there is also some defensive decks as well. Even though a lot of the troops can be quite defensive, they're trying to get the extra damage as a bonus as well. So we've seen a lot of spells being used as well to counteract some of these flying attacks as well. It's been very, very difficult, and people are trying to struggle to decide which decks they should go in with, even before the series even starts. But I look forward to see what changes have been made on the leaderboard overall, because it's been a bit of a doozy here.
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, I'd like to say welcome to the top of the ladder, Derplite. Speaking of air, he is the man, the myth, who loves to throw in all of those air attacks, using the Inferno Dragons, using the Baby Dragon, using the Lava Hound as well. Absolutely smashing his way through the top of the table. Still only 8 points ahead. I mean, look at 1 to 3. Derplite, Shadow, and Dark Knight at the moment. Welcome to the top 3, Dark Knight as well. And Lucas has definitely slipped down to 4th. I mean, still in the top 8, absolutely fine. But his record is 40 and 18 right now. His last 10 matches, he's currently 6 and 4, Lethal.
Yeah, funny enough, Lucas has lost to Derplite a couple of times over the last week, which is why Derplite has been able to extend this lead just a tad in that first place position, as Shadow's still holding that second place spot. He hasn't really changed too much here. It's just the first place position where Lucas and Derplite have been playing against each other a few times, and sadly for Lucas, it's not gone his way. So Derplite, you know, congrats to him for still being in that first place spot, but both these players have played a lot of games in the ladder over the last few weeks.
Yeah, I mean, Derplite's going for quality and quantity, it would seem, because we've been toying with the idea of, do you hold back and see how the ladder progresses? But no, he's actually gone in. He's 42 and 20 right now. So from the previous ladder, we had Destroyer, who had, you know, played about something like 150 matches as we progressed towards the end of the ladder. Maybe he was onto something, because 42 and 20, 62 matches so far. Derplite's doing really well, and I've mentioned already that Dark Knight is now in the top 3, and the reason why is because he is 2 and 1 against the current leader, Derplite, at the moment. But as we look at 9 to 16, Potato, some familiar faces here. Potato, Killer, Destroyer, Quincy, Adrian, and Cenk Aslan, both 14th and 15th, who were both in the top 10, I mean, a few weeks ago, and also during the ladder 1 as well. So definitely some big names in there still. And Game Freak TV still, you know, just not really doing anything out of the ordinary regarding his current, you know, state in ladder 1. He had 16 and 0, I think, and now he's 24 and 14 in this ladder, Lethal.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy how the placements have changed over just 1 week. It's been absolute madness. Like Lucas dropping down to 4th, I think it's pretty balmy in anything. But then again, Dirtblight, has taken down a couple of times. And you said it before, some of the other players haven't had the ratio you would expect in terms of percentile of win-loss. But then again, you mentioned it before, quality over quantity. If you're beating some of those top players and you had many games played, then you're going to get so much elo from that. It's ridiculous.
It's time to dive into our first. We've got 3rd position versus 11th position to show you right now. Dark Knight versus Killer. Dark Knight coming in with the Valk, Miner, Ice Wiz Goblin, and Bombers, and then Killer with the Lumberjack, Inferno Dragon, Barb, Barrel, Nado, and Bowler. It's the first time we've seen bowlers as well in these clips, Lethal.
Yeah, certainly is indeed. It makes a nice change, Banks, not going to lie, as we can see how it's going to progress as we get into this. But still, though, quite a slow placed game, as still got the Valk, the Mine, and the Tornado, and the Tester if need be, if it does need to be used. But things may change over time, as you do see the Bowler reappearing. It is going to try and be used at some point, somehow, some way. But when is he going to use it? That's going to be the next question, as they are going to push on forward towards that left tower and do a tickle of damage here, Banks, if he's able to. But no, he does not, as still the engagements are going back and forth, and time will tell in these next few cards.
I mean, so familiar as well, that we've seen quite a bit, using the Valk and the Ice Wizard in defense. They are just so incredibly good at defending. I mean, the Ice Wizard obviously is slowing down, and the Valkyrie just dishes out so much damage. But Dark Knight, as you would have just seen, used the Tornado to activate his own King Tower. So basically, by having the King Tower up, he can basically have a lot more defensive push, so that essentially he just gives himself a bit more protection, even though he's taken a hit on the King's turret. So he basically needs to ensure that he manages to get down one of Killer's towers. Otherwise, he could have done himself a load of damage just then.
Bowler eventually gets taken down, and you're right about the Valk. It's a fantastic defensive troop by a lot of means, and we're going to see what Killer is going to be doing next and see how Dark Knight's going to counter this. Still playing quite passive as of yet, using that Valk once again just to keep him at bay and just using those towers to his advantage, which is perfectly understandable. Baby Dragon will come out to counter that, just to delay that push. But of course, it will be pushed back eventually. It won't be anything done here. The wall breakers will be going towards that right tower. Now, Bowler will make a reappearance.
I mean, I've got to say, Lethal, it still absolutely dumbfounds me about this Lumberjack situation. Carrying that rage spell, when he gets dropped, he drops the rage on the floor. Why are there not mountains of troops following him so they can utilize that rage spell to at least get some damage on that tower? I just don't understand it.
Yeah, it's a little bit weird. You expect, including the synergy of the cards with that Lumberjack, you think would make a bit more of a push in terms of like the additional units to go with it. But yeah, it's a little bit strange. Maybe he has something else planned. I'm not too sure. And looking at it so far, the Dark Knight still has that Miner and that Valk as well as the Goblin. So we'll see when is that going to be used. Miner, again, very good to inflict a little bit of damage onto the tower, which we're going to see now. And we're going to see what he can do here. So he is out damaging Killer for now, but how long is it going to last as that Bowler is going to be pushing towards that right side?
The Bowler just doesn't have a huge amount of tanking ability. It doesn't have a huge amount of HP when he starts getting chipped away by the Valk. And also, he's quite slow. So it's strange. You can understand why people tend to favor, the Golem, or tend to favor, the Mega Minions or something, or the Lava Hounds to push, because they can just deal so much. Sorry, they can just take so much more damage. I know they don't dish out as much, but they can take so much more. So I don't know, maybe a difficult choice, or a choice that I don't really understand from Killer. But there goes his right side tower. Dark Knight manages to chip away at that right side tower at the right place at the right time, and there you have it. Dark Knight in 3rd position at the moment. I mean, like we've already mentioned as well, he is 2-1 against Dirtblight right now. That's why he is in that 3rd position, accumulating a large sum of points by beating the right people at the right time, Lethal.
Yeah, I kind of feel like with the Bowler the first time round in that left lane, you kind of feel like he was just using it just to, wait for the right cards and wait for the right cards to actually push on up. But the second time round on the right lane, he was just using it purely just to tank damage so he could focus more on the left tower. But it didn't really make too much progress. We didn't really get too much value out of it either.
Yeah, not really the right deck at the right time there for Killer. Dark Knight takes the win, so now we're going to jump into 4th position, someone we've already mentioned before, and David Rooney, one of our favourites from the first ladder, who's currently sitting in 17th, so he's not doing too well this time, but taking on some of the best in the business yet again. So Lucas GSM in 4th with the Graveyard, Ice Wiz, Baby Dragon, Fireball, and Nado. Lots and lots of spells for Lucas. I mean, could be back up for him, because, we tend to see that if the match is quite even, then it all comes down to the spell usage, doesn't it, Lethal?
It definitely does indeed. I can tell you what, there's going to be a lot of spells in both these players' back pockets. Have we seen the Mortar and the Fireball still waiting to be used, as well as the Valk? Musketeer comes out for the time being, as it's going to be a very slow setup going forward, but that fireball will do a fair amount of damage to the Musketeer, so will David's as well. So looking pretty similar. Does have the miner in his deck as well if he wants to use to try and inflict a sprinkle of damage onto one of the towers, which he will do now. But good counter there from Lucas to making sure that miner doesn't really do too much. So yeah, pretty standard play so far. Nothing stands out as of yet, and I'm not surprised as David looking pretty good in previous games, and hopefully he'll do good work against Lucas in this matchup.
I mean, something worth noting as well, if you're quite new to the game, maybe you don't understand the game too much, the best thing to look out for as well is if they're going to use a spell, you'll notice that, let's say, if you use the fireball in order to take out some of the attacking troops, let's say Lucas right now, when he's aiming at David Rooney, he'll hit the fireball as the troop is passing that left side tower, so he can get damage on the tower and the attacker at the same time. So just maximize the amount of damage from any particular spell. Royal delivery, making its way through to that left tower, just doesn't quite make it, and that's just it. They're both so good at defending. It all comes down to timing of your attacking troops, because the defenses are just so strong. They've got enough spells in their back pocket that they can use for defense if they need to make a rush defense, you know, suddenly quickly use a fireball or a snowball or a rocket. And then you've got David Rooney, he's got the mortar in his back pocket right now as well, so he can use that for defense. So there's actually a lot of defensive structures in this attack, in this matchup. So, I mean, it's not hugely attacking, so it's just all down to timing, Lethal.
It certainly is indeed. Using that knight every time just to block the miner from attacking too much of the tower on the left side is huge. He's prepared for it every single time. Use that baby dragon as well to keep the Valk at bay. The Musketeer is coming as well. And when we're doing too much here, so it should be okay. It's not going to be impactful in any way, but the baby dragon is getting a huge amount of value. It's now going to be pushed up to that left side. And once again, using that knight to take down the miner from doing any more damage. It's doing about 200 to 300 each time it's being dropped, and now another Valk has made a nice appearance here. Banks as the baby dragon continuing on to make sure they keep them at bay, and we'll see how much the mortar can do, because we haven't seen enough value from it as of yet as the push comes in into that left lane.
Now we're going to see Lucas utilizing those spells, Fireball and the Graveyard spell, both being used on that left side tower, trying to chip away. It looks like that's what he's going to be focusing on. So obviously David Rooney's going to read that and just have to deploy as many of his defensive structures as well, or defensive troops, on that left side, because that is where he's going to try and chip things away. We see the miner once again getting bits of damage at a time, but it just seems like spells are going to have to be the way to go. Baby Dragon on the Musketeer in the center of the base, and we've also got the Ice Whiz slowing everything down. Graveyard once again on that left side tower, and the Fireball once again. This is going to just have to be a bit of a cycle of spells, I believe, and David Rooney seems to not be utilizing his spells as well. He's going to have to hit that Fireball at some point soon, but Lucas GSM looks to be in the lead right now, but you know, still anyone's game.
Certainly is indeed. It seems to be the game plan for Lucas, using that Fireball as well when one of the tricks pops out, and the Graveyard here. But Lucas has had much better defense compared to what we saw earlier on in the game, as the mortar will get taken out. Eventually the Musketeer just out of range for the rest of Lucas's units. But still though, the baby dragon once again getting a large amount of value, and Lucas does have that Graveyard and the knight to counter the mine again if need be, which he has done. He's just doing a good job making sure that his left tower is not taking any more, initial damage here. But this is going to be a big push coming through here from Lucas soon.
Again, I have to say, the spell positioning from Lucas has been great, using the Tornado Trap to drag the Musketeer over to that right side now, so he doesn't have to deal with it over on the left. And then also, he dropped a Fireball on the previous Musketeer right in between, so that he managed to get damage on that tower like he just did then already. And then he also managed to take out the Musketeer at the same time. Huge push on this left side. Baby Dragon, Goblin, Barbarian, Ice Wizard, and the Knight. I was going to say the Prince. I almost said the Prince on this left side. And we've got the Graveyard as well. He's really absolutely going whole hog on this left side tower, Lethal.
Oh wow, that Graveyard did so much damage, and that was just ridiculous stuff. I think it's just a matter of time now, unless David does something, it needs to be like almost a miracle work here, as another Graveyard will come out, and it's not looking too good, as Lucas will take this one, eventually taking out that left tower. It took a bit of time. We knew it was going to come to spells and a little bit of positioning, but that was much better. And Banks, don't worry, I am the worst when it comes to getting Knight and Prince mixed up. I get it mixed up every single time without fail. No matter how many hours I've put into this game, it's just one of those things. They do a little bit similar here and there, but yeah, I always get mixed up. But yeah, looking at it so far, Lucas looking pretty strong. I feel like his late game with that deck is a lot better than David's, which is probably why we've seen a lot better moves from Lucas, especially with the double elixir towards the end. So yeah, good stuff from Lucas in the end.
Yeah, spell cycling just seems to be the way to go if you are both so evenly matched right up to when we start approaching, overtime. You're going to have to just utilize those spells as much as you can because that is guaranteed damage. But here is round 2 between Lucas GSM and David Rooney. Lucas this time coming in with the Mother Witch, the Cannon Cart, Fireball, Mega Minion, and Elite Barbs. It's almost an identical deck. We got David Rooney with the Mega Minion, the Graveyard, the Valk, the Fireball, and the Snowball as well. We're pretty evens right now, so we could be looking at a really even matchup once again as David Rooney kicks things off with the Mega Minion.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited to see what they're going to start off with. And like you've just mentioned, the Mega Minion, the Fireball will come out as well. So Mother Witch not really getting too much use here, Banks, as we're going to start off with a little bit of a trade as a Snowball does come in, but his Mega Minion will get taken down. So a very slow start from both players, pretty standard to say the least, as you see there, David still having that Graveyard and the Valk for later on if he gets into a little bit of trouble. Does have the Tesla as well, so we'll have to see what we're going to do. But a Furnace comes down here, Banks. I'm curious to see how things will pan out over the course of the game with that amount of damage.
Yeah, Furnace dropping out 2 Fire Spirits each time, so that can be a right nuisance because as you can see in Lucas's deck, he's also got a Goblin Hut. So you got the Goblin Hut and the Furnace. That can just be continuous, like irritating damage, just absolutely chipping away, just dropping these out and distracting each and every one of the attacking troops from David Rooney. So it could be a really good, new kind of meta that he's kind of trying to come out with, or new kind of skill type to just basically have these deploying defensive strategy buildings that are just going to throw out little bits each time and just be a distraction. And then you've got the Elite Barbs on the right. Here we go from Lucas trying to push out through the attack, take out the Valk and see if he can get some damage on this right side tower.
This is the problem David is going to have again. Lucas is focused on the late game, and if he gets like the Furnace up and a fair amount of units to back him up, or maybe even a couple Furnaces, then he's going to be in deep trouble. He knows that it's just going to be a matter of time, and David needs to try and end this quick. Not exactly end it in the first couple of minutes, but at some point in overtime, because it will go all the way. And Lucas is more than happy to do something here, but you've got to remember, David's got a very defensive deck here, so how is he going to be able to counter it? He has to really get some value on some of his spells, especially on his Graveyard, a Snowball as well. The Mega Minion hasn't really done too much for David as of yet, but the Tesla's doing a lot of work keeping some of the attacks at bay for Lucas.
Yeah, still fairly slow, like you mentioned before. We've got the Goblin Hut posting up these Spear Goblins on the left side with the Cannon Cart, and he's got the right. So he's basically trying to attack on both sides. Lucas is trying to make David Rooney decide which side to defend more. But David Rooney's doing a great job defensively, but Lucas is just piling on the pressure right now, using the Snowball for defense. Got the Mega Minion on the left side, taking out the Cannon Cart, but it being chipped away by the Princess on top of the tower on the left, so he doesn't manage to get any damage off. Now he's put the Furnace, like you've mentioned actually, the Furnace is now on the bottom right of the base, and we've also got the Goblin Hut centered right now, so they're just dishing out Fire Spirits and Spear Goblins continuously. Another Furnace goes down, so look, he's just going to try and chip away this damage on the right side, so that basically David Rooney has to focus all of his energy on defending rather than any kind of attacking. Now he's absolutely going full send on this right side over the bridge. Snowball comes in for defense, Fireball comes in for the attack, and he's slowly chipping away damage. Lucas is looking beefed up on this side. Left side's a little bit down for the tower, but he's trying to focus all of his attention and his energy on this right side to get as much damage down on this right side tower.
This is the problem with the Tesla as well. It's single attack, so eventually if he does bombard with way too many troops, then it's pretty much done for here. But it's okay so far because the troops on the style of Lucas are pretty staggered, as the Graveyard does come out in the bottom left to do a fair amount of damage onto that left tower. David's actually looking very good considering the circumstance he's in, and even then though, his defensive push has been very good. But this is what I'm talking about. Now there's way too many troops to deal with the Tesla, and the Archer's going to come into play to see if they can back off anything else. But it looks like it's held it for now, but how much longer, as now the Tesla does come into play again and does do a fair amount of work. So he is keeping Lucas at bay at some point here and there, but at some stage there's going to be way too many troops for him to deal with, and now the Mega Minions had to rejoin the fray and try and keep the rest of them back as the Tesla's almost taken down.
We haven't really given David Rooney enough props because, he's still in the lead right now in terms of damage. It's just Lucas is piling on the offense, but David Rooney is really doing promising work on the defense. He just keeps managing to chip away more and more damage on that left side tower using the Graveyard spell. But look, Lucas is going absolutely full send on this right and this left side tower. So David Rooney's going to be forced to make some difficult decisions. The Elite Barb against the Cannon Cart. On the left side, you've got the Mega Minion along with a load of other troops. I can't even tell. We've got the Cannon Cart on the left as well. chipping away damage on that left side tower. Here we go. This is the full send from Lucas he's been waiting for. And David Rooney is really stuck for what to do. Tesla's still up in the middle and the cannon cart being pushed onto that left side to try and take out the elite barbarians. The graveyard spell once again on Lucas's left side tower and the snowball. They're absolutely pummeling each other's towers, but that left side tower for David Rooney is getting really low at 562.
Yeah, we said it about the furnaces as well. Eventually, in the late game, he's going to definitely take more damage compared to Lucas. And there we have it. Lucas does manage to win that one very, very close. And David, considering his position in the leaderboard, is looking very strong. We could see him creep up later on.
Yeah, currently sitting at 17th is not what he's used to right now. So he's obviously got the ability. I mean, he's taking Lucas right down to the wire each time. He's just getting unfortunate, which is really unfortunate. Don't forget, you can put !sign up in the chat if you want to sign up for the ESL Mobile Open. Yes, you can still compete against some of the best in the business in your chosen title. And we've got some major news about the top of the Brawl Stars ladder coming up after the break, so don't go anywhere.
ESL Mobile Open is brought to you by DHL and Pay Safeguard.
Brawl Stars ladder is certainly one of the most active for sure. The majority of our competitors are racking up, 30 matches plus. So that being said, I did say that I had some major news because our current leader sitting at the top of the table is 20-0. We have an undefeated leader currently as we sit. And it is unfortunately the Tea Drinkers. Let's go the Brits, who are now Tribe Gaming. Being undefeated, that's just absolutely bonkers. We've got Navi as well, taking a big point reduction after losing to Galaxy Jupiter, and they lost 36 points in that one match, Lethal.
Makes a nice change, but UK Esports is at the top of the leaderboard. We don't know how long for, but we'll find out over the next week. But yeah, Tea Drinkers, on a serious note, they are one of the best teams in the EU and MENA region by not a mile, but there is a bit of a stepping stone between that and the rest of the pack. So seeing Tea Drinkers at the top, I'm not surprised. I spoke greatly about Na'Vi overall. They have been making massive improvements over the last few weeks, as I mentioned last week, but their recent form's been a little bit inconsistent. Reply Totem looked really solid, especially over the last week, not just in this competition, but in other competition as well. And it's nice to see Totem in that top 5. Noble Elite also been doing pretty good. So the recent form, a nice level of consistency, and a few of those teams, it's nice to see them in that top 6. And Code Magic and Galaxy Jupiter, I've not really heard about them too much, but it's nice to see some new names come into the top 8.
Galaxy Jupiter were doing extremely well last week, and we reviewed some of their matches and we casted over them, but currently they're 5-5 in their last 10 matches. So they've actually suffered quite a few losses, and that's why they've slipped down the table a little bit. And another team that is honestly definitely worth mentioning is FA Trio, who are currently sitting in second. They're on an 18-win streak, which is just unbelievable. But looking into the 9th, 16th, right at the bottom there of your table, you've got FA Maple, right? They just need to get some reps in. They're currently 2-1, literally 2-1, Lethal.
Well, it's better than 1 and 2. I don't know how to at least describe that in any way. A few of the teams I feel like should be in the top 9, top 8 is Blood Diamond Russia, Zero Zone, and Bunker ROG Esports. Those 3 are some big names, like Tier 2 pushing Tier 1, and I kind of feel like if they play a few more matches, they can easily slide into that top 8 if need be. So expect some big things from them coming into the next week.
Yeah, we were looking at Up Purple as well last week, who played a few matches, and they just lacked the aggression. I think they were going up against Blood Diamond Russia. They lacked quite a bit of aggression in some of their attack strategies, so maybe they're going to rethink that and come back into the table and come back swinging to try and take out some of those top teams to get into that top 8 position before the play-ins, because that's what we're working towards, aren't we? We've only got like a week or so, and then we're back into that, but we're going to kick things off today. We've got Tribe Gaming going up against Noble Elite. That's Tea Drinkers versus Noble Elite. We've got Piper Tick and Nanny on both sides of the table. So who can play them better, Lethal?
Yeah, that's going to be the big talking point here. Very standard composition. I would expect something a little bit more aggressive from the side of Tea Drinkers, considering their style of play of being able to, not hesitate and take every kind of advantage by the horns as soon as they see an opening or some kind of window of opportunity. But I don't know, we'll have to see in the next few games coming up. As Spence doing a good job, just doing a lot of damage into that left lane. Tom is going to be backing him up here. Good kill there on Dizon. And KC is still in that right lane. Knows that Andre is looking to make a push with that Piper, but still though, a nice dish of damage here and there. Casey just trying to stay out of range. Tom is just biding his time. And you've got to remember that Tea Drinkers are up by 1 star, so they can hold this passive setup as much as they like. Not anymore though. Speaking of Devils, Andre does actually take him down. That's going to be 2 kills in favour of Noble Elite. And Noble Elite now are just waiting for Tea Drinkers to make that initial push.
I mean, as you'll see as we progress with this matchup, even as we push into, the Brawl Ball, the Gem Grab and things like that, Andre is just so accurate, such a good player. And so he's perfectly lined up to play someone like Piper. But yeah, this Brawler composition doesn't really allow for super aggressive play because they don't really get up and close and personal in your face, but they don't really have a choice as we progress into the back end of this attack because they are 7-2 down right now, and they've got the tiebreaker star as well. So Tea Drinkers are going to have to do something. They're going to have to pull something out of the bag. There we go. There's a drop. 10-6 right now, though, as well. They're still dropping players as well as claiming some of the kills for themselves. 10-6, they have to get aggressive. There's only 15 seconds left on the clock as KC is trying to push up this right side, but he's all by himself. Everyone's still further back. 12-6 now, and it's just looking like it's a GG for Noble Elite, and this one Lethal.
Yeah, you saw that Casey had a lot of missed shots on that right lane. Spenner's going to push on up, does get a kill of his own, but it's just not going to help in the slightest. Don't be surprised if Tea Drinkers do change their composition to some more aggro approach. You saw there they were not really that comfortable, and Casey did miss a lot of shots in terms of the range and the projectile as well. He was struggling a little bit in that right lane, so maybe we could see a Gene or maybe a Mortis, something a little bit more aggro in order to then fill that hole and be able to play to their style, because you can see they were feeling a little bit uncomfortable, but at the same time in terms of coordination they were a little bit separated from time to time, so there wasn't really too much support on each other. But yeah, don't be surprised to see an aggressive comp coming in.
Yeah, Noble Elite managing to take that first one. So let's see what happened in that second round of the bounty. And would you know it? Lethal, do you know something that we don't? Because we are looking at a Carl, a Mortis as well, and a Poco. So definitely a different composition, slightly more aggro, you could say, as Casey absolutely goes flying face first with Mortis and manages to get the drop at making it 12-8.
Yeah, seeing that Carl as well and seeing it on both sides, I'm not too surprised. Carl, in like the last week since the patch, has increased projectile speed. So Carl has actually been one of the most popular brawlers for a lot of compositions. So both teams making that change is perfectly understandable. The Mortis is going to be huge though. Casey switching from that Piper to the Mortis is going to do a huge amount of damage. He obviously got a little bit fed up earlier on playing, having that defensive approach with that Piper. So Casey looking much better with the Mortis. And look at it, the result. It's night and day. Already 21-14 to T-Drinks.
I mean, definitely a high-point game. Absolutely loving this. But KC as Mortis definitely does so much damage up close and personal, and just still manages to come out on top with that 5,320 hit points that he's got. It's just so OP to just manage to run in, smash them, and grab and run. He's managing to get in and get out and get the drops when he can. So he's definitely helping them out with that 26-14 right now. This is a huge match, and they're both going so aggressive. I think the only thing that might be letting them down slightly is Melny on that left side of the screen. You know, playing Tick, that's a really difficult brawlers to go up against as Tick, because they're all trying to get in your face. Closing out that match, there you go, Tribe Gaming with a 30 stars in bounty, which is just rising it until now. Here we go, tried to make the push, but there you go, goes down. And then, oh, such an amazing play with Surge, trying to get the teleport through to manage to slot it, but Andre, again, with the absolutely OP defenses from Sprout, manages to prevent the goal from going in. What an incredible play from Noble Elite there. So we're still sitting at 0-0. Melny with the ball on the right, trying to push it out, and Casey as Surge. Once again, you can play a bit aggro with Surge. I think that's why he likes to play as him, because you can just force your way through, use that teleport to your advantage, manages to pass it through, and Tom is sitting at the goal line and manages to secure that first one for Tribe.
See, I've never been a fan of the Sprout on Brawl Ball, no matter which map it is. Yeah, sure, the damage is okay from range, but if you're playing against a very aggressive composition or aggressive team overall, it's going to really struggle, and at close range, it's going to struggle once more. So it's going to be a bit of a pain in the backside in a lot of areas of his gameplay. But, you know, we've seen some good things, but some bad things as well. Not the bad things because of his play and his style. It's just Sprout as a brawler overall. So we can see Melny actually gets taken down. Andre with that Sprout is looking to pass the ball back to Dizon. Has kicked it away, but could be just delaying the inevitable once more as Spen looking to push on up with that ball in that middle lane, with Tom pushing on the right side with that Carl. And you can see one member is already down and they're trying to back away. And that's what I mean by the Sprout. Not really too much he can do. They could actually dribble it in here at this point, but they need to be careful with the respawn from Dizon. As now Casey looking to back away ever so slightly, but rejoin the fray with Spen. And that was going to be a good pull. We'll take out Dizon. The ball still on that right side is Tom. Somehow stay alive, but inflicts a huge amount of damage in the process. Casey is going to stay alive, but by then the damage has already been done. We'll win that game 1-0. Good stuff there from T-Drinkers.
I mean, it just seems like Tribe are just so much more comfortable being aggressive, and like the aggressive style of play is going to really help you out with Brawl Ball, because you're constantly in your opponent's face. You're not allowing them to get past you with the ball, and they're so confident in their ability to get the drops and using the supers at the right time and having their accuracy with their shots as well, that they can just consistently stay up in their face, and Noble Elite just couldn't really do anything. So we're going into that second round of Brawl Ball right here with the Carl, Barley, and Bees. They've changed up their composition again. And we've got Tara Jean and Colonel Ruffs making an appearance, and we haven't seen him. I don't think really, we haven't cast over him at all with the ESL Mobile Open just yet, so we'll see what we can make do from Dizon as well on that left-hand side. Going up against Barley, though, he's definitely got that distance on him, and they managed to drop each other as we go onto that left-hand side. So now it's 2v2 for the time being as they push up. Tribe again being aggressive, and B using that great honey trap ability at the back to basically slow everything down just in case Noble Elite break through that line and get towards their goal.
I'm sure you've noticed it as well as I have. Banks, Sprout has done a little bit of a disappearing act, so they've obviously realised that a bit more aggression was required in order to fight back some of T-Drinker's pushes here, pushing out with the ball. Tom does take down Dizon in the end, and a little bit of trouble with his rust, but should be okay now. Melny looking to pull back in that right lane, but the Barley is a good pick. You know, again, another defensive brawler which can inflict a lot of damage here and there and keep their opponents at bay. And he's actually been doing pretty good so far. Tom just trying to stay alive, make sure that he doesn't get completely washed up here, but Andre will finish him up with that pull. Good pull from Andre. Looking a lot better here. Spen has taken a bit of damage for himself, pulling back from that right lane. Casey still waiting for Dizon to push up with that ball. Will he get the opportunity here? That's going to be the next question. Doing a good job with that Carl as Casey going to back off all the way, but good coordination here from Noble Elite. But now they're separating just a tad, as now they have to wait and see what they can do. It is still tied up. It's going to be 20 seconds. May go into an overtime here, Banks.
Yeah, I've got to say, Spen is doing such a great job in defense there, just dropping down B's honey trap and then also just securing so many shots. He's getting loads of kills as well, dropping loads of the enemy at the moment, and just doing a really good job of keeping Tribe in the game. And maybe they're waiting for that overtime so that when all the obstacles get dropped, maybe they've got a plan to make that push. So now they're on the back foot though right now. Noble Elite progress into their half, especially being forced through by Colonel Ruffs at the time. I love that name, Colonel Ruffs, absolutely amazing. And Andre pushing through as well as Gene. It's just about getting that security and managing to get through. And then they get the drops, and that is GG for that Brawl Ball. A very even match between Noble Elite and Tea Drinkers, and leveling it out every single time and managing to secure those goals at the very end there. And that was a great push right at the end for Noble Elite. So our next match we're going into is, of course, the Gem Grab. We've got Tribe coming in with Carl, Piper, and Rosa as well, while Noble Elite are coming in with Carl, 8-Bit, and Rico Lethal.
Yeah, I just want to say, Noble Elite in that last game, a great time in attack, and it was very, very clean. They just knew it was just a matter of time until they can make that initial push. So good stuff on them. Let's see how they can come back into this, though, as Tea Drinkers do have an early lead in terms of gem count. Casey takes on Andre. Melanie takes down Casey. So at least a trade comes in, but we have to deal with Tom. Tom just being a real nuisance on their side of the map. And the good thing is, though, Noble League didn't pull back all their players. They just relied on Andre just to push him away. Tom pulled back eventually, has taken a huge amount of damage, but still on the right lane with Carl. As Casey's taken down Andre, Dizon's going to both be supering back into that right lane. Didn't really inflict too much here because due to the fact that both of them were on similar damage counts. Anyway, in terms of hit points, Casey does take down another, but looking pretty damn good here for Tea Drinkers Banks.
Once again, Tribe, I mean, in particular, KC, just using the more aggro brawlers, isn't he? He's right up in their face with Rosa, managing to get all these drops as well. Takes out Andre there. Going to come back and try and help out to take out Melanie as well. Just doing a great job at being that aggro player that managed to get up in their face and make sure that they can't gain access to the gems. They've obviously pulled back a bit. Tribe are like, okay, we've got 10, we can pull back and we can stay alive. Watch Spen in his defense. Looks, manages to use the super from Piper to stay alive, and he's still up with Rosa coming back and securing that drop to help defend and keep that Piper alive. Absolutely incredible plays there from Spen and Casey from Tribe Gaming, and that is why they're sitting at the top of the table, and that's why they are 20-0. Absolutely incredible from all of them. I mean, Lethal, you've got to think, what incredible play at the end there by Spen.
It certainly was. That was a convincing victory compared to what we saw in the previous bounties and Brawl Balls as well. I love the Rosa pick as well. You know what it's like when Rosa uses her super, especially in a 1v1. It's like hitting a brick wall. You can't really do too much with it. You may, do a tickle of damage, but not a huge amount to, be a detriment in any way, shape or form. So good stuff from them. Good picks as well. I'm glad for the counter pick from Tea Drinkers in that second game. It was absolutely vital. It wasn't to their style, just sitting back in stalemate situations. It's definitely not their cup of tea, but at least they were able to come out with a W.
I can't wait to see what next week's leaderboard is going to be like for Brawl Stars as well. And you can keep following as we progress through the ESL Mobile Open. Just put !social in the chat. Give us a follow and you'll be able to stay up to date with everything as we progress as well. So you can find out information before we actually get to the weekly recap show. And the Clash of Clans rankings have been stirred once again as some highly respected clans have been slipping down the table. So find out who that is after the break.
ESL Mobile Open is brought to you by DHL and Pay Safeguard.
A few weeks remain until the second set of play-ins for Clash of Clans, and a few clans have been plugging away to ensure that they remain in that top 9. But something that we've been touching on as well has been the meta. You know, we got the pets involved as well. A lot of people are favoring the unicorn right now with the queen, but also the actual strategic meta right now, which is actually, we saw air at the very beginning of the Town Hall 14 update, a lot of air attacks, but actually we're kind of starting to look into favoring the P.E.K.K.A smash right now, Lethal. So things are definitely up in the air, but why don't you take us in to that all-important leaderboard, because the top 9 are looking very spicy.
Oh, they certainly are indeed. I'm looking forward to this to see who exactly is in the top 8 so far. Relentless Gaming and Silent Snipers have been doing a very good job. You remember Silent Snipers from the last play-ins lost at the final hurdle and looking to try and get him back. They could straight up qualify in first place. It's still a possibility, but still a little bit behind in terms of that elo. And Aphelion Esports, good to see their name cropping up again, still in that top 3 spot. And even Burger Rangers, they had a good start to begin with and just dropping down. But one thing we need to talk about as well is Cream Esports. They are actually currently 8-1, and again, like Banks always says, quality over quantity, and it's definitely looking that way. Very interested to see how Cream Esports has done this week, and of course over the course of next week as well.
Yeah, Cream Esports are the only clan in the top 8 that have played less than 10 wars. So, I mean, if they rack up those numbers and they keep getting those wins, they're looking at being top 4, you know, because they're actually got an amazing record right now, like you've already mentioned, with only 1 loss. But Relentless Gaming holding on to that top spot. And their record right now is 29-9, 38 wars played. They played 14 wars this week. Now, that's something that we've touched on quite a lot, you know, is that if you'll sit at the top of the table, why don't you just wait it out and see what the rest of the ladder does? And then if it alters a little bit too much and it's not to your liking, then you can start playing more wars. But no, they've thrown that rule book out of the window and they've gone, let's just keep playing, keep dominating, and ensure that we remain in that top spot and get that automatic qualifier for the challenge finals in Clash of Clans, Lethal.
Certainly do indeed. I'm looking forward to the 9th to 16th position as well, because there's a few teams in there which also need to talk about in terms of how they progressed, and Penta only up by 1 single point. They know that they can't just sit back and rely on that top 9 spot. They're going to have to play a few more games coming into this, because look at the other teams as well. The Time Failed Gaming, another team which we know quite well here, and Strike Back as well. A Bad Singer just right behind them. They need to play a few and need to be very consistent, because it'd be a shame if we don't see Penta in another set of plays.
Yeah, I mean, Time Failed Gaming are actually doing really well. I mean, up to a point, and then suddenly in their last 3 matches, or their last 3 wars, in fact, they've lost 2 out of 3. So it just chips away the points. If you go up against someone who is quite high in the ladder, you can lose so many points. I mean, we're seeing it from other ladders as well. You know, 36 points sometimes from 1 war. That's just absolutely outrageous. But yes, Achievers are doing quite well as well. One Hive, a huge clan that you would expect to see in the top 8, sitting at 16th right now. So hopefully they'll be able to switch things around. But I mean, the first war that we're going to go into is actually something that we've talked about already. Silent Snipers, who are doing so well, being extremely consistent, but also Inquisition, who are an extremely consistent clan from ladder 1. And we got Wolf Shares, who's going to be coming in first for Silent Snipers with a Dragon Army. Now, something that we talked about as well, the air game right now. In Town Hall 14, air was a huge deal. I mean, that was the meta. But now we're starting to see a lot more ground attacks going on as people are adapting. We've got the Lightning coming in and the Quakes to try and take out that Eagle right in the center of the base, because that can be a nuisance against a Dragon Army if you don't get that taken down early days. And now we're going to push in using some of the heroes from the bottom of the base, Lethal.
Yeah, you're right, though, Banks. It was a real air-heavy meta to begin with, and it sometimes is now and again, depending on the layouts and how you actually have to scout the base at the start. But still, when is this initial push going to come in, as the world champion is going to be trying to take out that mortar as well as the air defense in that 6 o'clock position. But you can see on the right side as well, the King has come out to play, just taking out some of the outside structures. You can see with the Archer Tower as well, the Inferno Tower just doing a little bit of damage just to keep him at bay once the King is destroying that gold storage. But also, if he takes out the air defense and the Inferno Tower on that 3 o'clock position, that would be absolutely huge.
I mean, using the Royal Champ with the invisibility spells as well to take out as many defensive structures in the bottom of the base, especially that scatter shot, is going to make sure that the dragons path perfectly around the top side of your base in a little bit of an L shape as we sweep across, and then the very end will be the Town Hall. So hopefully he gets to get that Town Hall down, potentially using a blimp with some sneaky goblins inside just to make sure he gets the Town Hall. That's all he's looking for with the blimp. He's not looking for extra damage. He's just looking to get the Town Hall down. So he's going to time the Grand Warden's Eternal Tome as the blimp paths over. But the Grand Warden with the dragons as well, looking pretty solid. He's going to time that Eternal Tome so that it doesn't go down, and so that he can get this blimp into the Town Hall compartment and just make sure that he gets that second star. But the dragons are still looking pretty buffed up. Multi-target Inferno isn't something you got to worry about too much with the dragon army. It's just something, you know, like the air defense or the scatter shot or a single Inferno. Those things can be a real nuisance for dragon armies.
Yeah, I kind of feel like you turned on the dragons in terms of their hit points as well. The healing spells were positioned very, very well. The mortars and the Expo were doing so much damage, and even then, he positioned it correctly how it should be as well, not too far back. And it needs to be a pretty good job so far. Just a little bit of structure here and there left. You know, you can see a couple of cannons, a few mines. But apart from that, though, this has been a very, very solid, but a very good attack here coming up from Wolfshires. You know, Silent Snipers have a very, very strong team. Definitely after the last play-ins, looking for revenge to try and get back into the challenges if they can. But just the last few bits of structures here and there to test. There's some of the mines and the mortars on the outside. But still has 30 seconds, plenty of time to try and make this work.
Yeah, got so much of the splash damage down nice and early. The only thing he really had to worry about regarding the dragons was just seeking air mines and black bombs and things like that. That's all he really had to worry about. But the Grand Warden is still full health. He's got the owl still. It's surprising to see the pets still up at the back end of the attack, because the pets don't take a huge amount of damage, but they can dish it out. But great to see that it's still up and running, and we've got a beautiful triple to kick off the war between Silent Snipers and Inquisition. It's great to see the air attacks still being used, so we're still having a lot of versatility from each and every one of our attackers. But we're going to see quite a heavy favor of the ground attacks, especially with the P.E.K.K.A.s, and I think it's just because they dish out so much damage. If you manage to get the right spell placement, you know, with the jump spells and the rage spells, that is what you're looking for. Because with the dragon armies, you've got to just ensure that you get a certain amount of the base wiped out so that they don't path away from each other, and then you get a great amount of tanking from the dragons as they go around. But we're in with I Am Green from my Inquisition right now, and he comes in with a Yeti blimp, so drops down the rage so that the Yetis can get down the Eagle and that most of that compartment. Having to deal with a fair amount of CC troops from the Ice Golems. We're seeing the Ice Golems being favoured quite a lot in the CC because they slow things down and they're quite tanky. So basically pushing for that time fail. But the Queen is going to drag out these Ice Golems so that she can take them out using a poison spell, and that should be absolutely fine so that he can progress with the second phase of his attack lethal.
Yeah, the Ice Golem's just delaying things further. Your personal favourite, Banks, I know it is, don't lie to me. As now we're going to have the Unicorn, and the Cup of Heal is still continuing on to contribute to the Queen. The Expo will get taken down eventually, but first going to take down some of the structures on that 6 o'clock position. As the Arch Tower does get taken down, so will the Tesla, and so will the Mortar as well. So using that free spell just to delay the DPS ever so slightly, and just trying to find out if there's any other traps laying about here, using that one moon to just push it on forward, but not too much here.
I mean, here comes the P.E.K.K.A. Smash coming through the central compartment of the base, using a super wall breaker to break into that middle section, and he's going to use another jump so we can gain access to all 4 of the other sections in the center of the base, especially that tunnel. There goes that jump spell right in the middle there, and these P.E.K.K.A.s are still nice and healthy. The Warden pushing in with the Queen as well, and the Super Wizards in tow. He's going to have to use that Eternal Tome soon. Uses a freeze instead on the Town Hall's Giga Bomb just to make sure that he can keep going. There goes the Eternal Tome. They can stay up, and the P.E.K.K.A.s can stay nice and buffed up. This is the problem that we find with P.E.K.K.A. Smash as well. The problem is, if the P.E.K.K.A.s go down, you have absolutely nothing pushing through the entirety of the base, and then it can just fall flat on its face, this kind of attack. So you've got to time the Grand Warden's Eternal Tome to perfection to make sure they stay up through the more difficult defensive structures, Lethal.
That's right, the champion is now just going around the outskirts of the map, just pushing up to that 12 o'clock position. Take out some of the structures as well. Still got a little bit of help to work with here as he's taking on the Archer Towers, and maybe because the Wizard Tower as well. Still that Inferno Tower in the middle. The Queen is going to try and stay alive as long as she can. Still a little bit of time to work with, 23 seconds. Does finally get cleaned up. The World Champion still just pushing on forwards quite cleanly here. Still 15 seconds though. Will he be able to get the 3 stars 100% as I'm looking up in the 12 o'clock position? Should be able to take up the rest of the structures there. Should be okay. It's kind of quite close, but shouldn't be too much of an issue. And there we have it. Just the last bit left to be done, and the World Champion finishes it off. alongside the rest of the unit. So good stuff there from I Am Green. It was a little bit of a struggle to begin with, and also very close. Probably a few more seconds and he wouldn't have got that 3 stars. So great way to start things off for them as well.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of triples, and it's really promising work to see that they can use all these different varieties of attacks. But nice to see the Royal Champion being the one to clean up at the end, because the Queen, a lot of people you know, they depend. There we go. They depend on the Queen because her DPS is just so vast that she can just take down so many structures at the end, and her speed is on her side as well. But great to see the Royal Champion being used at the end there. And we're going to jump into the final attack from Silent Snipers. We've got Rakirez coming in with a Blizzard Lalo, something that we're seeing quite a lot of. We've got Super Wizards inside the blimp. He's going to drop an invisibility spell. He's going to drop a rage spell as well and get down as much of the center as we can see. Look at the amount of value he's going to get from the Super Wizard. He's going to get the Queen down, the Scatter. Is he going to get the Town Hall down? Potentially. He's looking to get down that Eagle on the left-hand side as well before he comes in with the Lalo, because the Eagle can be such a nuisance when it comes to the Loons for the Lalo. They're lethal.
Yeah, Requires is going to be very happy about that. We'll see it's going to be quite air heavy. It's just a matter of time and where he's going to position it first, as there is a lot of air defense still in the center, still at least a few there to be careful with and a little bit cautious. The Baby Dragon still on that right side, just taking out some of the structures just to give him a little bit of a helping hand for this next attack, just leaving a little bit of leadway, which is perfectly understandable, and it's already getting enough value from that as well. So Lava Pups just being a real pain in the backside in that 6 o'clock position for the Queen. Won't affect him anyway, it's just to delay things just a tad as we get prepared for this huge attack coming up next.
I mean, it's perfect deployment of the Blizzard at the beginning to draw out the CC troops, you know, the Ice Golem and the Lava Hound, and then he can drop the Queen at the bottom of the base to make sure that the CC walks all the way over so she can just get rid of them so that they're not a nuisance for the rest of the attack. Here comes the hero dive from the left-hand side to try and get out as many of these splash damage troops as they can, or splash damage defenses, I should say. Royal Champion on the multi-target Inferno, pushing over to the cannon. Still yet to use the Royal Champion's ability. The Sinking Shield has been used, sorry. And then we come in with the Queen in the middle. Now look how much of the base has already been taken out, and he hasn't even started the Lalo. Here is the Lalo with the Grand Warden and the Owl coming in from this top right-hand side to try and get down this air defense first before the Loons come in and just clean everything up, Lethal.
Yeah, that was a real worry, considering, like you said before, how much structure's already been taken out as he's pushing on through. There should be quite a nice attack here. He's going to continue on forward with the 3 spells, going to delay the DPS as much as he can. You never know, Cannon's an expert, doing a fair amount. It's not going to be enough to tackle any of this. Here's the one that's still looking to push on forward with the Inferno Towers. Will get taken down momentarily, which it will do. And still so far using some of those balloons to go around that left side on the 9 o'clock position to take out the cannon, the Archer Tower and anything else, just to give it a little bit of leadway, but still looking very good. 15 seconds left to continue on to take out some of the storages and the mines and the drill on that north side, but should be okay here. 10 seconds left, should be able to clean up after enough time. So there we have it, as the last storage will get finished off by literally a quarter of a second, cutting it very close, but in the end, a lot of patience, it paid off, and the attack was just even better.
Huge GGs there to Silent Snipers for managing to secure those amazing triples. And I mean, once again, we've got so much content to bring to you. Inquisition are so great as well. Silent Snipers have played absolutely out of their skin for the last 2 ladders, so it was always great to cast over their attacks, because they're just doing so great in this Town Hall 14 update. And we're going to be dropping into Nolex versus Zepto for our next war. Now we're going to be kicking things off with Bezez with a Lalo from Nolex, and it's gonna just basically be a pretty spicy attack. I'm not gonna lie, because we've got a bowler, we've got 2 headhunters to potentially take out one of the enemy heroes as well, and we're gonna kick things off from the top side of the base, going towards this multi-target Inferno. Gonna use a few coconut loons to try and soak up any potential traps, tornadoes or seeking air mines, anything like that, just to kind of soak everything up. And then we're gonna start with the King and the Queen from the top left here, Lethal.
Yeah, I don't think he was able to reveal any traps there, so he's going to find out in the 9 o'clock position if there is anything. Still finds nothing, so he's going to be a tad bit worried here. That's more time wasted, as the Queen and the King, like you said, has actually pushed in, as well as the Royal Champion. And Baby Jack can just find around on that 9 o'clock position, using another balloon to see if he can find anything, but takes out the mortar in the process. Still doesn't find any of these traps here back. It's a little bit of a struggle.
Yeah, I mean, using this as a hero dive. So this is a hero dive. Basically, you just use all your heroes to push in from one particular side and take out as much of the base as you physically can before you use, you know, your siege machine, which would be, in this case, a blimp right now. But I think he might change it over if he wants to get a little bit more damage, because it doesn't seem that the heroes have really taken out enough of the base, or as much of the base that he would have liked before he wants to start the Lalo portion, because he needs to get down as many of the air defenses as possible, but also any of the defenses that have splash damage. We're talking wizard towers, scatter shots, you know, and obviously, you know, air defenses being the obvious. There we go. He switched it over to a stone slammer because he needs to ensure that he gets enough damage out from his siege barracks that, or sorry, siege machine that he uses to push through. So look, stone slammer being extremely useful right now in taking down some of the enemy's defenses. Taking down the archer tower right now. He's probably going to go over to the scatter shot, and he's going to have to use the Grand Warden's Eternal Tome to keep them up as much as possible, because we're going into quite a tough spot here, because he's going to activate the Town Hall's Giga Inferno, and that could fry some of the balloons.
Oh, there we go. The free spell does come in, so it's looking beautiful here so far for the team of Nolix. That Queen was taken down earlier, not because of the Unicorn. We went up healing potions or how many healers to actually push with it, but another free spell does come in to delay the DPS further. Still though, the balloons are actually very well spread out here as he can continue on with this push. Still looking pretty good. Needs to try and take out the air defense if he can. There's no other defensive structure in the way, so should be able to take this out with ease. Not a problem in the slightest, with the wizard tower going to follow through as well. So looking very, very good here for Bez, and see what he can do to continue on pushing on in that 12 o'clock position. And you can see so far 14 seconds left. Should be able to clean up the rest of the structures here with the storages and the mines, but very good stuff from the team of Nolix. It looked a little bit bleak at first because he's still trying to find the traps, couldn't really bring up anything to decide exactly where he should push from. Had to waste a couple more units than he would like, but it was worth it in the long run. Cut it close, but he managed to succeed with those 3 stars.
It can be quite dicey using a hero dive at the very beginning, because then you don't have the tanking ability from the heroes at the back end of your attacks. You're entirely relying, I mean, in this case, you're entirely relying on all of the loons with the Grand Wardens to try and push through the whole of the base, and using haste spells as well. But can the reply from Sasha be up to scratch? Because he's coming in with a P.E.K.K.A. smash, like we've talked about before, going straight into this left side compartment to try and take out as much as he can using the Yetis. And he's going to start with the Queen on the left-hand side to try and do a little bit of cleanup before she pushes on through the base. But like we said before, P.E.K.K.A. smash, it's all about placement. It's all about where you can put the jump spells, where you can put the super wall breakers to ensure that you get into the correct compartments of the base with the P.E.K.K.A.s, because otherwise they get stuck on the walls. And unfortunately, P.E.K.K.A.s are pretty slow. So here you go. He's opened up the compartment at the top left-hand side, 10 o'clock on your screen, and managing to push in with the bowlers as well, keeping them nice and topped up using the Grand Wardens Aura Lethal.
Yeah, he was absolutely spot on with the meta in terms of P.E.K.K.A. smash coming into play now and again, not just a heavy air meta like we've seen at the very start of Town Hall 14, and the push will be coming in as the sweeper's going to back off the healers ever so slightly. It's not going to make too much difference here with the lava pop still doing a little bit of damage, but still look at that 12 o'clock position in the Town Hall, still being able to use that free spell anyway. A lot of units were cleaned up on that north side, but still got a fair amount of defense left. Still the Expo, the Wizard Tower, the Edifice still on that 2 o'clock position, but still push up into the middle with the Eagle Artillery. You'll see how much damage it can actually do. Not a huge amount, not the target it would like, but still the fair amount of damage has been done.
Pushing through the center of the base, and this is what we've been talking about with the P.E.K.K.A. smash can start falling flat. If you're losing P.E.K.K.A.s, you lose momentum. He still doesn't really have any spells in his back pocket left either. He's got the freeze, he uses the freeze, he's still got the Royal Champion's ability, but everything is starting to slow down to a snail's pace. He's lost the P.E.K.K.A.s. I mean, I'm pretty sure he has. There's a lot going on in the center of the base right now, and I'm trying to figure it out, but the Queen has popped her ability. She is trying to push through this center compartment and use this jump spell to get around the remainder of the base, but it's just dying as everything is going so slowly. Still got some of the healers left, which is great news for some of the heroes, but does he have enough left to take out the remainder of this base in the time?
Oh, that was ridiculous. That Eagle Artillery has done so much work for the majority of this game. Almost took out the Queen, and lucky for the Queen, just managed to stay alive. Really have enough time though. That's the next big question. Inferno Tower still doing a huge amount. Still, the Expo's now going to try and get involved if possible. The World Champion has been taken down. Still, literally the cannon, the Expo, the Archer Tower as well. Still got the Air Fence and Wizard Tower on the top side as well. It's looking pretty bleak. Not sure if he'll actually get the 3 stars. I don't think he has enough DPS, or actually, let's be honest, the Queen is pretty much stuck there. Has to go through 2 sets of walls, and it's not looking too good here. So I don't think it's going to be a 3-star game for the side of Satchit on Zepso.
Yeah, really unfortunate situation, given that jump spell allowed her to get into that small compartment, and then she needed to fight her way out of the compartment because the jump spell had dissipated. So now she's stuck. She's going to have to take out this cannon and then this right side army camp, and then she's just not going to be able to get through. 5 seconds left on the clock, and we're looking at 96. Can she get to 97? 97 for Zepto with Sasha. That is just so unfortunate. The time fail, you hate to see it, but it's always going to happen at least once or twice, and you've got to just brush it off, go on to your next war, and just not even think about it. Don't let it get to you. And there's plenty of time left to get into that top 8 for the next round of play-ins for Clash of Clans. So don't forget, if you want to do it, you can sign up, ! Sign up in the chat, and you can be facing off against some of these incredible clans that you have witnessed in the ESL Mobile Open weekly recap from me and Lethal. Now, Lethal, I've got to touch on this. Is there anything that particularly impressed you from the highlights this week?
Oh, do you know what? There's so many to select. I think one of the games from PUBG as well, in terms of the clip where on that high ground and that one player was still behind the rock, I'm going to say commiserations to him. It's the fact that when you had that such a massive disadvantage and still did everything, you could still take out one of the players. He was still going for that 1v3. It was so close, but yet so far. And also Lucas as well, how good his late game is recently in Clash Royale with some of the decks he's been using. And T-Drink is still without a loss. And are they going to continue, you know, this absolute path of destruction? We'll have to see.
Yeah, definitely one of the top clans to keep an eye on. Tribe Gaming, aka T-Drinkers in Brawl Stars, and KC in particular from this week, dealing out so much damage and being the absolute aggressor for Tribe Gaming and managing to secure all of those wins. I mean, definitely played a huge part in that. But week 3 of Ladder 2 is now complete, and it feels like the end is almost in sight because the challenge finals are creeping up faster than you would think. So get those reps in and make sure you and your team secure enough points to make sure that you get through into the play-ins and then through to those challenge finals. Now, thank you so much to my co-host Lethal for all of your hard work, and thank you so much to the production at ESL for all the hard work you guys are doing as well. My name is Banks, and I'll see you next time.
All I ever do
together.